Hi, everybody, and welcome to Out of the Gate, Daily Race Inform's weekend handicapping preview program. I'm your host, Dan Illman. Thank you so much for watching. Here's what's coming up in this week's edition of Out of the Gate. Daily Racing Form handicappers David Aragona, Mike Beer, and I will take a look at three major graded stakes races from across the country. The Coaching Club American Oaks only drew a field of 4 at Saratoga, but it features unbeaten Kentucky Oaks winner Malathot. We also will look at 2 graded stakes races on turf at Del Mar, a competitive edition of the Eddie Reed and the San Clemente for 3-year-old fillies. Nicole Russo has her Pedigree Pick segment. Marcus Hirsch looking for value with his weekend game plan. And we'll have our best bets at the end of the program. We're all standing in line, so let's break Out of the Gate. We begin out of the gate with the Saturday DRF race of the day, the Grade 1 Coaching Club American Oaks. Of course, that race is at historic Saratoga. And if you download the DRF Bets app, check out this promotion. Double your payout on Irad Ortiz-ridden winners at the Spa all summer long, exclusively on the DRF Bets app. Download the app. Here's the field for the Coaching Club American Oaks. Unfortunately, we only have a field of 4 led by unbeaten Kentucky Oaks winner Malathot, who is the heavy favorite on the morning line. You can download free formulator past performances for this race on the Race of the Day event page at drf.com, and you can access the full DRF expanded stakes preview on the Daily Racing Form YouTube channel or at video.drf.com. DRF handicappers Mike Beer, David Aragona, they have more on the favorite in this race, Malathot.
Let's start off with an easy one, I guess. Huh, guys? 4-horse Coaching Club American Oaks, yawn, big favorite, number 1 Malathot, down on the rail in this race. Looks like she could just go to the front in here. Listen, the number 4 in this race, Clairiere, I think is a reasonable rival for her to have to run against. Clairiere's a pretty nice horse. I can't go against Malathot in here. We're going to look at the replay of her first Grade 1 win, the Ashland 2 back at Keeneland. She runs really well in this race to gun down a rival through a short stretch, by the way, who had a big jump on her. She's just a relentless finisher. The 1 1/8 of this race really plays to her advantage. The lack of pace in this race really isn't supposed to affect her even as much as it affects some of her rivals in this race. To me, too hard to go against. I'm chalking it out in the Coaching Club.
I'm not trying to beat the heavy favorite Malathot in this Coaching Club American Oaks. It just seems like she's found a really favorable spot to get another Grade 1 victory coming off her Kentucky Oaks score from last time. I mean, look, she's not the most impressive horse that you're ever going to see. She kind of grinds out her victories. She doesn't have the flashiest way of winning, but she just gets it done in all of her starts, and I can't latch on to any of her competitors here. Clairiere, she was kind of disappointing last time in the Mother Goose. I know that she stumbled at the start, but she just didn't have much punch through the stretch, and she couldn't deal with a relatively slow pace that day, and there's even less speed signed on in this 4-horse field, so I don't see how she's going to get it done, and the others just seem a little bit overmatched, so I'm settling on Malathot at a very short price in the Coaching Club American Oaks.
Malathot's obviously the horse to beat, but on form, Clairiere may not be too far behind, at least in terms of buyer speed figures. Clairiere was only 3 lengths behind Malathot in the Kentucky Oaks. So while Malathot's been idle since that race, Clairiere has been in action, only nothing went right. Let's watch the start of the Mother Goose Stakes, her race in the interim, and it's a short field, and Clairiere just stumbles very badly leaving the gate and is forced to give up a lot of early position. The pace was not fast. Clairiere ended up last. Clairiere ended up down on the rail, and as they turn into the stretch, Clairiere is now swinging widest, while the 2 horses that finish 1-2 get away from her. Clairiere tries hard all the way down to the wire. You see her in the 4 path here in the stretch. She is running on at the end of this race, and I think getting back to 2 turns is going to help her. Steve Asmussen really likes the way she has been training in the morning. I am concerned about the pace situation in this race because Clairiere is not exactly a speedball, may not have Malathot's tactical speed. I wonder if there's going to be a little bit of race riding early to try to get Clairiere into the race and maybe get Malathot pinched back on the rail. Malathot weighed the horse to beat. Small stab against with Clairiere for Steve Asmussen. Nicole Russo has her Pedigree Pick segment. She's always looking for value and looking for good bloodlines as well.
Hey everyone, Nicole Russo coming to you for Out of the Gate. One way I think you can use pedigree handicapping as a tool is when you find horses who are trying something new. And that's the case in one of the competitive allowance races on Saturday's card at Saratoga. Race 7, an allowance optional event going a mile and a 16th on the turf, looks like a well-matched field with some room to play. Now, the two doing something new are the 3-year-olds Calibrate and Dream Big Dreams, both trying turf for the first time. I think both these horses might be fun to play around with at a price based on how they've run in the past, but one definitely has a more suited pedigree than the other. Dream Big Dreams, second in his last 2 starts for Brittany Russell, beaten less than a length both times. First, second on a sloppy track at Pimlico, and wet track performance can sometimes translate into turf success. Russell might have thought so too, because his most recent race was taken off the turf, so the intent was there. Not much turf in this immediate family, though. He's by Tappett's son Bandbox out of a Quiet American mare. Now, the horse who's new to turf and who does have the pedigree that makes him an intriguing play here is Calibrate. He's by Distorted Humor out of a mare by turf-influenced Dynaformer. The cross has produced some turf stakes horses. Now, his dam has produced a couple of winners in Chile. His second and third dams both bred in Ireland. It's the family of English 1000 Guineas winner Sleepy Time and some other group stakes winners internationally. Calibrate was second in a Churchill allowance last out, and sometimes performance on that main track equates to turf ability. He's also worked well on the Saratoga turf. So if you're looking for some value, perhaps look to the horse who is doing something new and then make sure their pedigree suits the task. This race part of a Saturday card at Saratoga, highlighted by the Coaching Club American Oaks, which you've already seen the preview of. Now let's get you over to the opposite coast with the team's look at the Eddie Read from Del Mar.
Let's head over to Del Mar for the Grade 2 $250,000 Eddie Read Stakes. And as we take a peek at this field, it is a very competitive group led by the number 6, Smooth Like Straight, 9 to 5 on the morning line. Be sure to head on over to the Daily Racing Form YouTube channel and video.drf.com for Daily Racing Form Southern California analyst Brad Free's account of the Eddie Read Stakes. Smooth Like Straight, the horse to beat. He's very, very fast. He's earned triple-digit Beyer speed figures in his last 2 races, and we're going to go back to the Mathis Brothers Mile from last year, and this is Smooth Like Straight's game. He likes to press the pace, if not go outright to the front, and he just keeps grinding them into the ground. He beats a good field in here with a 97 Beyer speed figure. He's had 3 races this year, and he has improved his Beyer in each and every start. He is the horse to catch and beat in the Eddie Read, and he has won at a mile and an eighth in the past. David Aragona, Mike Beer, they have a different opinion, looking for a little bit of a price in the Eddie Read.
I think the big question coming into this Eddie Read is whether or not we're going to see United bounce back with a better performance, because he was extremely disappointing last time out in that Charles Whittingham at Santa Anita, losing as the odds-on favorite. I mean, look, United has been kind of a mainstay in this California turf division for the past number of years, but I think this year in 2021, this division has really gotten beefed up in California. In this race alone, we've got Smooth Like Straight, who's turned into a grade 1 level performer as a 4-year-old, and a couple of very intriguing runners from the Phil D'Amato barn, and that's where I'm going to go, not quite trusting United in this race. I mean, Say the Word ran well behind Smooth Like Straight last time, but I prefer D'Amato's other runner, the number 4 Count Again. Let's take a look at Count Again's impressive victory in the Seabiscuit from last November at Del Mar over this same course. He was really impressive this day, closing from far back to get up over a pretty good field, some East Coast shippers in this race, and he just unleashed a furious rally down the center of the track to beat this field. Now, he's lost 3 races since then. One of those is a throwout that he was eased in, but I think he's run really well in his last 2 starts. 2 back in the Kilroe Mile at Santa Anita. That was a race that did not really set up for him. He made a big late run down the center of the course to just miss going a mile, which is a little short for him. And then last time out in that Turf Classic, which has been one of the best turf fields that we've seen assembled anywhere in the U.S. this year, Count Again was in a little bit of traffic at the top of the stretch. The pace that day didn't really set up for him, and he wasn't able to get to the top 3, but I thought he was running on well at the end of that race without an ideal trip. And this time, getting Joe Bravo aboard, I think he's going to be able to make that one run on the outside like he likes to. The mile and an eighth distance is perfect, so I like Count Again in the Eddie Read on Saturday at Del Mar.
Love the Eddie Reed. Came up with another really nice field for the Eddie Reed this year out at Del Mar. Only a field of 7, but it's a pretty solid group led by Smooth Like Straight, who's probably going to be on the lead in here. I don't think 9 furlongs is necessarily his best distance, but he can get it. He's run some fast races recently. He is going to be a tough horse to run down in this race. I will try to run him down. I'll try to run him down with the same horse David is trying to run him down with, the number 4 Count Again, for all of the reasons basically that David has already laid out. I'm not going to add too much to his analysis. I like the replay that David showed there. That Seabiscuit Count Again was very impressive winning that race. Could have thrown up the replay for either of his last 2 starts as well. He didn't win either of those races, but I thought he ran excellent races both times. I think there's enough pace in here to set it up for Count Again. I'm giving him one more chance in the Eddie Reed.
I like the number 3, Say the Word, in this year's edition of the Eddie Reed. Last time out, Phil D'Amato took a little bit of a chance. Remember that Say the Word really improved towards last year, the end of last year, when he was stretched out to longer distances. D'Amato cut him back to a sharp mile last time out, and we'll watch what happened. He caught Smooth Like Straight. Smooth Like Straight was able to get the jump on Say the Word, turning into the stretch. Say the Word has to make up 5 lengths on Smooth Like Straight in the last 1/8 of a mile. That's just not going to happen. But look at him gradually cut into the margin. He is really motoring at the end of this race, and I think getting back out to 1 1/8 is going to help Say the Word. He actually might want a little bit more distance down the road, but if there's some pace and Smooth Like Straight feels a little bit of heat early, I'm thinking Say the Word's going to come with a strong late run for Phil D'Amato and Mike Smith. 3-1 on the morning line for my top selection, Say the Word. Marcus Hirsch of DRF goes through those PPs. He really scrutinizes them, looking for value. Here's his weekend game plan.
Hi, Marcus Hirsch, Daily Racing Forum correspondent, handicapper, here with weekend game plan for Saturday, July 24th, 2021. 3 races in question at Saratoga, Del Mar, and Woodbine. That's it. Let's go to Del Mar first. That's the Eddie Reed Stakes, probably the best stakes race in North America on Saturday. Highly competitive field. Smooth Like Straight is the likely favorite. Admirable Beast, super talented, has been developed nicely by trainer Michael McCarthy. He was a kind of front-running one-way miler type in his earlier days, and he has evolved into a horse who can rate a little bit, doesn't have to be on the lead, and can get 9 furlongs, the distance of the Eddie Reed, in a pinch, but that's stretching him just a little bit. I do think he's going to get a pretty favorable trip, but I'm going to play Count Again here. We're 2 entrants for trainer Phil D'Amato. Count Again, I first saw him run at Keeneland. Might have been his first start. He was trained by Neil Howard, and he put forth a closing finish, the likes of which you will rarely see from a maiden. Just completely flew home and was at Woodbine for a while. Ended up with D'Amato on the West Coast, I guess, last year. Probably, he's run several really good races, and at his best, he has a devastating turn of foot in the home stretch. Possibly the best race he's run was his lone start at Del Mar, where he flew home to beat the capable Chad Brown-trained Flavius last November. I don't think that he had an ideal journey in the Turf Classic at Churchill Downs, his most recent start. Tried to get outside, ended up being pushed down toward the fence. The pace was muddling and slow. It just didn't really set up for him. I expect him to come outside this time, get a cleaner journey, and slingshot home and catch Smooth Like Straight in the shadow of the wire. Probably at a fair price. The Caress Stakes, short field, don't have a big price here in Caravel, but she is not the favorite, priced here at 7-5 by line maker David Aragona. That'd be the second choice in this race, and I think that she could be a good anchor for multi-race wagers late in the card. As this race comes up, I think it's the penultimate race of the day. Caravel, I cover Monmouth. She raced there in her last start. So I watched all her replays before that race. Even if you go back to her career debut at Penn National, which I urge you to do if you have video replay access, that was a tremendous performance. She had no business winning that race. I think she's a pretty rare talent who's kind of put it all together in the last couple races. what really impressed me about her Monument start was the way she traveled into it. She's a horse that's going to be coming from off the pace, but she was so in the bridle and moving so nicely that she had reached contention by the 3/8 pole, and that race was over at the quarter pole. I think that she's going to handle 65 morning line favorite Robin Sparkles and win the Caress at Saratoga. Toronto Woodbine, the Nassau Stakes, where Jolie Olympica, who makes her first start after a trainer change, I believe the stated reason for her moving out of California and the Varner trainer Richard Mandel is because she really needed Lasix to run. She gets that here. She's a horse that's been a beaten favorite the three of the 5 times she was the favorite in her North American career. I don't doubt that she's vastly talented, but she does take a lot of action. She's 5-2 on the line here. I think she'll be shorter than that. At a mile, she's a little suspect, though she did run a tremendous race at Keeneland last year, I believe in the Jenny Wiley Stakes. But I'm willing to take her on, and the horse I quite like here is number 2, Another Time. She was second by a neck in the 2020 Nassau, has exactly the same pattern. Last year she came back in a 7.5 furlong Woodbine Turf Allowance race, which she won comfortably. Same distance, another Woodbine Allowance race, won comfortably. She's set to take a step forward. She's a forward type, which you got to love forwardly placed runners in today's era when you get so few legitimate paces in turf route races. Doesn't have to be on the lead, but it's going to obtain a good position early. I think she has a great chance to outrun her odds, if not outright win this race. So Another Time is my play in the Nassau Stakes at Woodbine, one of 3 races I've selected for weekend game plan for July 24th.
3-year-old fillies take center stage in the Grade 2 $200,000 San Clemente Stakes at Del Mar on Saturday. Let's take a peek at the field. Head on over to the Daily Racing Form YouTube channel or video.drf.com. Watch Southern California analyst Brad Free's expanded stakes preview of the San Clemente Stakes. The 2 Going Global is the horse to beat. The 9 Madone might be a horse for course to keep an eye on. Let's watch Madone's seasonal debut at Santa Anita, the Grade 3 Senorita Stakes, and she showed good tactical speed to sit in behind the pace, and from here it's all a matter of, is she going to find a seam? And a seam opens up in between horses, and she bursts on through, and she wins very nicely. Only a 78 Beyer speed figure, but getting back to Del Mar in her 3rd start of the year, she might be able to improve. She is the second choice on the morning line. David and Mike, they're going in different directions. Let's see who they like.
Pretty big field here for the San Clemente. I mean, we've got 12 horses entered, which makes it, all the more difficult for me to just say, I took the number 2 Going Global on top in here. She's 4-5 on the morning line, has won 5 races in a row. She is 4 for 4 for Phil D'Amato and Flavien Prat since she arrived stateside earlier this year. Just one good race after another, though. She's won a couple of graded stakes races in her most recent 2 starts, going 9 furlongs. I actually like her cutting back to the mile distance for this race. Let's go back and look at the last time she ran a mile at Santa Anita. This is the China Doll back on March 6th, where she is going to beat Closing Remarks. This is the first time she beats Closing Remarks. I like this performance from Going Global. Closing Remarks also runs well in here. You see Closing Remarks gets in a little bit tight trying to rally between horses in the stretch, but she makes it through. And Going Global just has a big finish in this race to take over. She wins it sort of going away. And I like this performance for her, and I like her cutting back again for this race. I know she's good going longer. I think she might be better going shorter. She's a short price in here, but she outdraws her main competition, and I just think she's in a good spot here to keep the winning streak going, guys.
Look, I've got a lot of respect for Going Global, who is going to be a heavy favorite in the San Clemente, but this is a large field. 11 runners have signed on to face her. She's going to have to work out a trip once again, like she has in her past few starts. If she delivers, she's probably going to beat this field, but I think she's facing at least one worthy rival, and that's the horse all the way on the outside, the number 12 Closing Remarks. She's been beaten twice by Going Global, both 2 and 3 back for her in the China Doll and the Providencia, but I thought she put in game efforts both times. times and was getting to Going Global at the end of those races. Some might say that Going Global was easing up a little bit in those races, but I thought Closing Remarks at least gave her a scare each time. And last time out in the Senorita, things just didn't go right for Closing Remarks. She clipped heels at the start, was far back early, had to swing really wide to make her run into the stretch, and she needed some time off that race. I'm not sure if that incident with clipping heels necessitated the time off, but she's coming back, apparently working well into this race, and as long as Umberto Rispoli can work out a trip from this outside post position, I think that she's going to offer much better value than Going Global, who's going to be very short, and Closing Remarks could kind of drift up along with everybody else and be a bettable price in this race. So I'm going to go with Closing Remarks in the San Clemente.
I'm with Mike in here. I don't want to bet against the number 2 Going Global. She's won 5 in a row, 4 for 4 in North America. And as you saw in her most recent race, she simply buried that competition, traveling so sweetly throughout and showing a good amount of agility, diving back to the inside, entering the second turn, splitting horses, turning into the stretch, and then just drawing away with impunity in the lane. That agility should serve her well in this big and bulky field where she might have to weave her way through horses at a crucial point. She's just a talent, and she's very good. And it looks like Phil D'Amato has found another good spot for her. I'll go with Going Global in the San Clemente. Best bets up next.
My best bet comes on Saturday at Saratoga in the 7th race. It's an allowance M1X going 1 mile and a 16th on the Mellon Turf course. And this is a really competitive field. I made the lukewarm favorite on the morning line space launch, but I'll be interested to see how the public bets this race and how the horses sort themselves out on the racetrack. I give a long look to 2 horses in this race. One of them is the number 7 Calibrate, who's making his first start on the turf. He's by Distorted Humor, has a big turf pedigree in the 2nd generation of his female family, so I think he's likely to take to the surface, and there's not a lot of speed signed on, so I think he could be dangerous on the front end. But I made him my second pick. My best bet in this race is the number 9 Munkad, who is coming off an allowance loss at Belmont Park, but I want to go 2 back and look at his maiden victory at Gulfstream. He wasn't facing the best field this day, but I thought he put in a visually impressive performance, making a wide, sustained run around the far turn and going away from this field at the end. He put in a really powerful finish, going the 7.5 furlong distance. And as I was saying, though he lost in his next race at Belmont, his first race against Winners, that was a day when they had taken the temporary rails down. The rail was really a good place to be on the turf course, and Munkad was out in the 5 path all the way around the far turn, was spun out even wider coming into the stretch. And also that's been a very productive race, as the horse who won Public Sector came back to just miss in a stakes race, and the 3rd place finisher Original came back to win and beat Public Sector in that same stakes next time. So I think Munkad's form is better than it seems, and I think his rider John Velasquez is going to be able to get him into a tactical position in a race where pace is going to be very important. So it's the number 9 Munkad for me in the 7th race on Saturday at Saratoga.
Guys, I'm going to try to complete the early double at Saratoga with my best bet of the day. Race number 2, maiden special weight for older fillies and mares, 1 mile on the inner turf course. My best bet of the day is number 3, So Enchanting for Chad Brown and Peter Brandt. This is a filly at first glance on paper. You may not want to give her another chance. She's run 3 times so far for these connections. Beaten favorite in all 3 starts so far. I actually felt like she had some excuses for her first 2 starts last year as a 2-year-old in October. Think she ran okay in those races with things maybe not particularly working out to her favor. She came off the layoff most recently back at the end of June. We'll look at the stretch run of this race. There's not a lot to see here. You're just going to see her, try very gamely to close some late ground in this race and just miss second at the end here behind a front-running winner. Now, the horse that won this race pays $116 right on the lead, a big long shot back channel, but a long shot who had some back class on dirt. They were trying something new here, and she got to the front and wired this field. You saw So Enchanting trying gamely to close late ground on the leaders in there, but it wasn't that kind of a race. It was a race where they just didn't go that fast early. They went a little faster late, and you did not want to be closing ground in there, at least in my opinion. I actually feel like So Enchanting ran pretty well once again without winning. She's not going to be the favorite this time. She is stretching out to a mile for the first time in her career, but I actually like that for her as well. She has more of a distance pedigree on the dam side of her pedigree, so I really feel like she's going to appreciate getting the mile. She's perfectly drawn towards the inside. She should not be outrun early in this race. I think there are things to like about her this time, and she's not going to be the favorite. So one more chance in race number 2 for So Enchanting for me.
My best bet's at Pimlico. Race number 2 is the Bald Eagle Derby for 3-year-olds going 1.5 miles on the turf. And I like the number 6, Experienced, who is giving up a lot of experience, stepping up in class and especially distance in only his second lifetime start. But I really like the way he won his debut at Delaware for trainer Jonathan Thomas. Let's watch that race right now. He fell far behind in mid-pack, and as we see right now, he still has some work to do turning into the stretch, but he split some horses on the turn, and now he gets into the clear. He comes with a strong, determined run. Not only does he show some moxie and heart getting up to win this race, but he was flattered when 4 of the horses he beat immediately came back and graduated in their next start. This horse has a beautiful pedigree. His dam was a Grade 1 stakes winner. He is a half-brother to 5 graded stakes winners. The 1.5 miles from a pedigree standpoint shouldn't be a problem, and I like that they're taking a shot with this horse in only his second lifetime start. 5-2 on the morning line for my best bet, the number 6, Experienced. We thank you so much for watching Out of the Gate, and we urge you to follow all of DRF TV's video offerings. Head on over to the Daily Racing Form YouTube channel and subscribe, or go to video.drf.com and follow Daily Racing Form on Twitter at DRF Inside Post. That's it for this week. Best of luck when your horses break out of the gate.